Good morning. I'm Scott Wright, and I serve as Decatur's city manager. And this is a weekly update from the city of Decatur. So yesterday, on Tuesday, more than 44,000 new cases of COVID-19 were reported just in the United States. That is the second highest number of single-day cases reported in the United States since the pandemic began. Thankfully, the numbers are still relatively flat here in Illinois, and particularly here in central Illinois and Macon County. The number of deaths, for example, here in Macon County has remained static for several days. But the states with the highest spikes are the ones not only in the Sun Belt, as I mentioned last week, but also are ones that made the decision to open to differing degrees sooner than Illinois has. And I think that should be a cause for us to think carefully, not only here in Macon County, but also throughout our region, for how we can do a better job of trying to control this moving forward. Because the expectation I think that many have is that we're going to wait some time yet for some kind of a vaccine. It is a little bit frustrating for those of us here in Decatur and Macon County to be reacting all the time to whatever the latest approach from the federal government is or the state government is. And I'll tell you that it sort of feels like we're bounced around in a barrel sometimes because we are reacting to the state and federal government, and oftentimes the state and federal governments don't agree. And so moving forward, I think what the mayor and council are going to be moving towards slowly is trying to take more deliberate and proactive steps for us to stabilize the condition, make sure that our numbers remain flat here in Macon County and Decatur. What that means moving forward, and I know that for some of you this issue of masks is controversial, but it means that we need to continue to be vigilant about wearing masks, about practicing social distancing, and particularly avoiding large groups of people, because the evidence so far from the rest of the country is that where people are, shoulder to shoulder, that's when the transmission of the disease will occur in larger numbers. And if we are practicing cleanliness and washing our hands regularly and wearing the mask and practicing social distancing, eating outside when we can, and the other things that you've been hearing about, while that does not provide an absolute guarantee that you're not going to get the disease, what the numbers are showing is that if most of the population are practicing those preventive measures, we can continue to keep things flat. And what I believe that more proactive steps by the mayor and council will include is how do we do that but still open businesses up? We are now in phase 4, which means that restaurants can be open, and many of our local restaurants here in Decatur have reopened. But many of them have discovered that there is a bit of reluctance on the part of citizens to go inside, and so they have maintained outdoor eating places if they have the ability to do them. And I want you to know that the city of Decatur will continue to support that. We've been aggressive in helping restaurants with barricades and blocking off parking areas and sidewalks on a temporary basis because we know that this is important to the livelihood of their business. And even though we're in phase 4, we're going to continue to do that because some of those restaurants need to rely both on those who are willing to eat inside and those that are, but still want to eat outside. So the more that they can use both of those together, they can turn more of the tables and hopefully get back to business. And there will be other things that we do to help local businesses. The whole time making sure that we don't forget about those other safety procedures because rather than simply react to what the state and federal governments are saying, we need to chart a path that recognizes legitimate public health concerns because we've seen how it's happened when a state opens too fast in other parts of the country, but yet the absolute need to allow our businesses to get back to business to the greatest extent that they can. Let me give you one small way that here at the city that we're thinking about how do we find that right balance. So now that we're in phase 4, city council meetings will resume in a more open setting. But they're not going to be in the city's in the council chambers where we've had them in the past and where our Zoom meetings have been held. They're going to be held in the theater here at the Civic Center because the theater allows the members of the city council to spread out much more and practice social distancing. And because we can now have up to 50 people in the room, so we can have many more members of the public, we want to space them out as well. 50 people nearly fills the room in the City Hall, in the City Council chambers in the Civic Center, but we have more than 400 seats in the theater, so we can spread out. And the other thing that we're doing there is we've made steps to change the HVAC system, so we pump in more outside air, and taking other measures like that, where we're finding that middle road between observing all of the public health and safety issues, but still trying to get back to normal, including with our meetings. Finally, I want to talk a little about fireworks. Yeah, it was unfortunate that the local fireworks were canceled here in Decatur. We've had a significant increase in the number of fireworks complaints. People in my neighborhood and throughout the city of Decatur continue to fire them off in the evening. Our police do their very best to respond to those. And I understand that it's common to have fireworks, home fireworks, especially in the lead up to the July 4th celebration. But we just want to ask you to, once that fireworks holiday is over and after July 4th, try to return to a sense of normal, so that our police officers and fire officials as well can get back to the other sorts of calls that they deal with. And the problem with fireworks calls is that oftentimes when we get there, when the police finally do get there, people have stopped or there's not as much evidence of it, although we have made a couple of arrests. So we value your feedback and your input as we move forward about how we continue to find that middle ground. But this is not the time for complacency moving forward. This is the time for vigilance. And I'm confident that Decatur will be able to do that, and that we will find a balance that works for us and that meets the needs of Decatur and are customized to our businesses. So thank you again for your help with that, and I look forward to talking to you again next week.